Here we are again, the season and episode before a new expansion, and we are in the we're back phase of Destiny 2. More inevitable than Thanos these days, but I am loving Destiny 2 right now. We are quick to pile on Bungie in Destiny when things aren't looking too hot, but this episode is hitting big time. The funny thing is, episode Heresy isn't even drastically different from what the other two episodes are. Almost identical levels of content, loot, and overall the same structure. So, what gives? Both Echoes and Revenant were fine, but it was severe whiplash coming off the highs of the Final Shape campaign, Raid and Dual Destiny, and it's hard to go from beating the Witness to Vex go brrr, or another redemption story for another Destiny villain in Revenant. Hard to go from how experimental and fun Dual Destiny was as an activity, to farming Battlegrounds or another revisit to Onslaught just 8ish months after experiencing Onslaught for the first time, except this time, way worse maps and loot. Episode Heresy has felt fantastic on every level. It doesn't redefine Destiny or what Destiny is, but it doubles down on the best parts of it. A story that has a grander mystery to it, a big event that starts it, and enough quality in the storytelling to tee up big things in this episode, but also in the wider Destiny universe. I have not always enjoyed the week-to-week storytelling, but so far in Act 1, it feels purposeful here, and also huge props to changing the run to Holo Projector and having one on the go with us. I still have my concerns about loot going forward in that we have been christened with loot year over year over year and hundreds of items within our vault, and that just leads to two problems in we get continuous power creep or the redundancy in the value of the loot itself. But I think the loot here in Heresy is hitting so far, both from a frequency point of view of just getting so much of it in the activity, but also the new perks and the way they're tying into build crafting. Some of the best work by Bungie over these episodes is the work they're doing around the episode artifact and synergizing with build crafting. It's never felt better. Revenant giving us a stasis season at last was a lot of fun, but here in Heresy, it's good stuff, man. Can go Void, can go Arc with Bolt Charge, can dial into the Dungeon Origin trait, or even a little bit of Strand if you're feeling saucy. A big thing for me when it's come to loot is I haven't felt inclined to move past my tried and tested loadouts. But what they're doing with loot in new perks, the episode artifacts, the exotic reworks, new aspects, it's making me feel more experimental with my builds than ever, at both high level content, but also running something as simple as Gambit. Yes, I am a Gambit sicko. I'll come back to the dungeon as a whole, but again, the dungeon loot, even if the main weapons here aren't as remarkable as Vesper's Host, the origin trait is crazy. And I'm loving this new hand cannon, by the way, and I don't even have the god roll for it yet. Crafting had its pros and its cons, in that for the casual, it's easier than ever to get a strong build for the high level content in less playtime, but it's definitely done damage in making future loot exciting because when you got crafted weapons, you've got to do something radically different than a 2% boost to make that chase feel worthwhile. And I'm liking what I'm seeing here. Adept weapons dropping, double perk weapons dropping, the frequency of the loot that's dropping. This is the staple that Bungie should have going forward when it comes to loot. Not just because of the dozens of chests, but also the ability to focus the loot as well. I would rather this than crafting, just double down on the focusing without the crafting, or just really reduce what's craftable going forward. I'm keen to see this tiered loot system rolling out in Codename Apollo, but I do have my cautions with that still. What I have no cautions about is raids and dungeons. The raids and dungeons team are on a generational run right now in Destiny 2. It is incredible the quality level that they are putting out. Going from Warlords to Pantheon to Salvation's Edge to Vesper's Host to Sundered Doctrine, they're on a roll, man. The environment design, the encounters, the loot, they're doing the damn thing. One aspect of Sundered Doctrine I've really enjoyed is a little quest line they got going on here. I haven't finished it yet, and yeah, I mean, it's a little tedious, but the story implications and what it might lead to has me excited. I also love that when it's finished, you gain the ability to focus your loot. This is an excellent quality of life decision that if we're not going to do crafted weapons, this is the best thing they can do here. I know the dungeon isn't technically part of the episode, but it's definitely a part of what I'm loving about Destiny right now. I'm also happy to be proved wrong. When Bungie revealed the Nether, a roguelike/roguelite, I'm not sure which one it is, activity that's coming to Destiny 2 with a limited health pool, I thought, I don't know, man, I'm not sure about that. They got me. It goes against a lot of how builds are focused in this game, but it's been really good. It's so sick to be back on the Dreadnought that I didn't get to experience in Destiny 1. The Skybox, oh my god. I mean, come on man. If the art design and direction team are not getting pay rises year on year, what are we doing, man? Simply sensational shit. It's one of the best looking video games still. Not because of cutting edge fidelity, but because man, it is so good to look at. I mean, I still hate the little pylon activity that they got going on where you have to stop everything to go and shoot 3 pylons with no challenge. It's just unnecessary and tedious. But, as I said at the top, the content can't just feel like more Destiny content. It has to feel purposeful. And I think the Nether does that, at least for Act 1, where there's enough boons to synergize into builds, enough bosses and encounters within the Nether, and it's definitely been boosted by the secrets and the memories too. Finding a new memory and hearing that back helps this activity feel way more interactive and responsive than just running 50 waves of Onslaught, for example. But I also think that my general interest in Destiny 2 is so dependent on the story that's happening within an episode, a season, or expansion, and somehow Bungie have to work out whatever it is that's going on where we have these large drop-offs in between expansions and the final season or episode or piece of content in a year. I don't expect Bungie to hit 52 weeks of exciting storytelling a year, but the whiplash between expansions from the first season to the last season in a year of content, it's tough. I mean, Echoes and Revenant, they had cool premises, but the execution and the storytelling of them, man, they were poor. Just minimal interest. Heresy though, I mean, I gotta talk spoilers. The way this episode opens knowing that we're getting the dynamic duo of Eris and the Drifter is great. But then to see Eris get stabbed and the performance behind the voice actor of the Drifter, it's raw for Destiny seasonal storytelling. To then see Eris on the throne world, that's how you grab my attention in moment 1. Give me something to latch onto for an episode. The trip to then see Savathûn, and that even though minimal story stuff happened, it still felt like things were moving along because of the character of the magnitude of Savathûn. And then last week, I mean, going on to the Dreadnought and seeing Savathûn, Xivu Arath, and a memory of Oryx all appear, and the music just roars and swells, and I was like, I got chills, man. And that is the kind of stuff that I want to see more frequently, that feels like it matters a lot more. But there's so many little plot threads going on, and it all comes back to this greater mystery of the Tablet of Ruin, the first knife, where are we heading next? That's what Destiny has to be more consistent in, having something intriguing happening at present, but still generating the questions of what's next. They did it brilliantly in Witch Queen, Season of Seraph, and here now. I mean, there's so much going on. I've got my Bive notifications primed and ready with the exotic mission, dungeon, seasonal story. This is the Destiny storytelling I love. A word too for the exotic mission. I didn't expect to get it so early, but I really enjoyed it and I enjoyed working things out. I don't love the time gating stuff they got going on since it kind of renders the weapon useless right now. But as for the exotic mission on a whole, a bit more traditional, a lot more enjoyable. It depends on the quality of the storytelling that they have for the rest of this mission, since they obviously have more story stuff to tell there. And it can't just be me that thinks it's no coincidence that we get a Star Wars crossover in this season, and the SMG looks straight out of Revenge of the Sith in Grievous's bike. Come on Bungie, I see you. But it was a more traditional exotic mission in having to find it, do events to trigger it, and then the overall structure. Really enjoyed it, even if it took me a while. What is such a shame, man, is that, this content is fantastic, but Jesus Christ, do we need to do something about the QA team and bugs going forward, because it's simply just not acceptable. The sheer number of bugs and issues episode to episode, it just can't be overlooked. And I know that team has been decimated, but we've got to find some solution somewhere, whether that's external outsourcing to Sony, rehiring QAs. It is such a shame. Last episode, Tonic's not working for players. This episode, the dungeon's second boss not taking crit damage despite showing it. Weapons dropping early, encounters in the exotic mission breaking, the dungeon not dropping the exotic, and a lot more that's either been fixed or being fixed. It just dampens the excitement. These expansions on the horizon are absolutely massive for this franchise. We're always saying, oh, it's make or break, but here, it really matters, man. And if they can't capture the audience for a new saga, I don't know. But what I'm saying is that they can't have big glaring issues upon this expansion's launch. Let me be clear, I do not expect a bug-free video game, but I do expect one that works with its major features. Had the content here not been good, this would have been absolutely crucified here. And I'm not a PvP player, but I do have friends that are, and the changes that they've made to trials this season seems to be really positive. People are loving the extreme amount of loot that they're getting, they're loving the path to the lighthouse, and just the overall changes in flow. So I'm really pleased for them, considering that PvP players often just get left with a couple of little crumbs to nibble on. But overall, man, yeah, this episode of Destiny is that time again when we're excited. The quality of the content is high, the storyline is promising imminent stakes and a look beyond, loot is flowing and of value, and I think Destiny 2 is a lot of fun to play right now in its current state. There's no point talking about what episodes could be, should be, whatever, because it's all about to change with 2 expansions a year, quarterly updates, and no more seasons. So I'm really interested. I think in having to change scope since they lost a lot of team members, the focus and intent seems primed on replayability and the core principles of loot and build crafting. Though I'd love to talk to or hear from Bungie about their design philosophies for these upcoming years of content when the time is right. Heresy shows a path forward on a loot level, an activity level, that more Destiny doesn't need to equate to the same Destiny. The raid and dungeon team just keep knocking it out of the park. Comms have been pretty good, crossovers are great, I still can't believe I got a Star Wars one. And overall, I'm excited. That's the main part, because after Echoes and Revenant, I just really wasn't sure what to think. But this episode has shown that there is life in Destiny yet. It's whether they can keep the heart of it beating. That's just my thoughts though. What are you thinking about Destiny 2 Heresy so far? Are you feeling the story, enjoying the loot? Are you optimistic about the upcoming expansions? Let's hear it. If you enjoy the video, I'd enjoy you leaving a like, and you know the drill by now. Destiny 2 thoughts, sci-fi games coverage, you're in the right place, so consider subscribing. All socials are linked down below. As always, I hope you have a terrific day, play games, get gains, and I'll catch you next one.